Did the CPI number and the jobless claims report just happen to show up the very day that they were releasing at 8:30 in the morning New York local time? No, they were scheduled. Just like in the old days, if you were back in the 70s and 80s, and I think maybe in the early 90s, the TV guide. You'd be in a grocery store, and your mother or father would say, grab a copy of the TV guide so we can see what's on TV this week. What did you need that for? So you can go and thumb through and look ahead. Oh, yeah, my program's coming on at 8 o'clock on Thursday, and I got to make sure I'm free to do that. You did everything you could. Your parents, your mother would do everything she could to get her house cleaning, her laundry, or whatever she was doing done so she could watch Days of Our Lives. As the World Turns, General Hospital. Well, that's the same thing you're going to do in the markets. You're going to do a scheduling. You're going to do a scheduling of what you expect to do at that specific time. And once you have that in your schedule, those medium impact or high impact news events, that's what you're looking for. You're going through your economic calendar. What economic calendar do you use? You can use Econoday, or you can use Forex Factory if you're going to be doing Forex. But there's a lot of events that I'm not really interested in. I'm not interested in every single little report that comes out. You know, a low impact news driver, I'm not interested in. Medium impact, yes. High impact, absolutely. So high probability setups, things that I'm looking for, are going to have those similarities. They're going to have things that are repeating. And guess what? Every single month, these reports are expected at specific times and specific dates, and you can plan for them, just like that concert, just like that event you're waiting for, that big game that you bought tickets to. Does your favorite team play in front of you every single day that they play live? No. You've missed those games. If they're not televised, what's that feel like? Growing up with my grandfather, he'd lose his mind if the Orioles were playing and the game wasn't televised. So what was he doing? Fear of missing out. He missed something. Did everything come to a halt because he missed that game? No. Does your career end, or does your development end and come to a halt because you missed Thursday and Friday's movement? No. So you have to come to grips with, wow, you know, this is something that will repeat. And there's going to be times when the CPI number comes out and there isn't that big of a move, because basically this was an enormous reaction to that news release. And here's the thing. If you ask me what it said or what it was dealing with, I'll tell you to save my own life. I don't care what these reports say. I never care what the data is. I don't care what it is. I just know that there's going to be volatility. Did I need to know what that report said before we were looking for lower prices in the ES? No. So why would I even confer with it? I don't. I just expect volatility. Injections of volatility are scheduled with that economic calendar. What I'm waiting for and what I'm teaching you to understand is there's likely to be a manipulation as that report comes out. And if we have a bias, if we're looking for a specific direction of bias, like lower prices, if that's in fact what we're looking for, the best opportunity is to watch it go up first. And I'm not saying it's going to go up 50 handles, 30 handles. I gave you a specific level, 40, 30, because it was clean highs. It had consolidated for hours and hours overnight, both NASDAQ and the E-mini S&P. So it was consolidating sideways, and to me, that's a wonderful opportunity. Every single time you put me in that same situation on Friday, I would have expected that same scenario. I would have never expected anything different. So am I upset? No. Because what I'm looking for is I want them to reprice higher go after because it was consolidating after a down day on Thursday. Typically, not all the time, as you can see, typically they'll take the market higher to take the buy stops out on those that were trailed lower. I'm surprised they didn't go back up higher for it. 40-30 would have done it. And then I would have expected it to start trading lower. But it wasn't having any of that. It was in a hurry. Now, some of you might have the idea that I have entertained. There's a lot of you following what I'm doing on Twitter. There's a lot of you, obviously, that don't necessarily follow what you're watching. And I know a lot of you are pushing a button that you should not be pushing. And you know what I'm talking about. So one of the things I said to my private in a recent commentary is that I am interested to see what effects I have by saying what I say and how the market reacts. Because here's what I want you to know. On Internet Chat Relay, there was a chat room that I hosted. I had 1,000 members in it. And I would talk about the S&P real time. And I would call what I thought the market was going to move to. I would never really share my stop, but say where I thought it was going to go to. And as soon as I did that, there would be a flurry movement towards that level. Now, I like to think that these markets are going to move, obviously, on their own basis, not by what I'm going to say. So please don't think for a moment that I'm standing here and trying to take credit for moving the entire S&P. That's not what I'm suggesting here. But if I'm teaching you that the market will seek liquidity, and it does, and I'm teaching you that the market will manipulate before the better run. In other words, if it's going to be bearish for the day, it's going to give you that little trick move, that red herring, that broken wing that the mother robin does. So the predator runs away chasing her. It's easy fledgling. That fake little move, that Judas swing. That's what I'm teaching you to look for, because that's a repeating signature. I will miss those types of moves on Friday every single time. Don't think for a minute I have some secret weapon, some secret little algorithmic trick up my sleeve that I would have been able to participate in that move, because there is nothing I have that could have been putting me in that trade. Nothing. And it moved so fast, it gave no opportunity to rejoin it. I wanted to see some kind of a retracement, and it didn't offer me much. That's why I said I'm not touching the afternoon, and I'm glad I didn't. But if I'm teaching you these things, and you've already seen enough effort, the idea that there is some validity to it, even if you don't understand it all yet, think about how many people would be listening. Listen real close. It's a little ambulance. It's like I'm it's like I'm televising an episode of Cops all the time. What you gonna do? The idea is that if I'm telling everybody where I think the market's going to go, that's one thing, okay? But if I come out and say, this is where I'm going to go in at, and this is where my stop loss is, okay? Everybody, right where you're at, verbally, say it out loud. Where is everybody else going to put their stop loss after I post it in a tweet or say it in a live session like this? Where's their stop going to be? Right where mine is. So it's not that ICT, they could, I guess. I mean, if you smack the shepherd, the flock will scatter, right? But if they see everybody pulling their order at the same spot, say there's 200,000 people within earshot of what I'm saying about a market, and I say, this is where my stop loss is. And predominantly, most of you are going to do what? You're going to foolishly just go in and plunge and take the trade because I said I'm doing something or allude to it. You're going to do what? You're going to place your stop loss exactly like mine. Because if that's where I'm putting my stop, that's what you're going to do. Or maybe some of you will say, well, I want to make sure I'll just go one tick past his, because that way it doesn't look like I was copying him. I'm making the market And I know that there's some goober out there that thinks he's a hot shot. Oh, he's been trading for 30 years. Watch me smoke this boy's ass in front of everybody. I'm going to go right to where he said his stop is because I don't necessarily need to know how many people have their orders there. And then I'll run it. You won't get back into a trade after getting stopped out. But if it gives me an opportunity to, and nothing's changed in the narrative, I'm going to get back in. But these markets book on the basis of fear and greed. Is it a stretch for you to believe something like that? Some of you would think, no way, this guy thinks too much of himself. No, it has nothing to do with me. It's a numbers game, folks. Think about how many people, if 200,000 people, if just half of them, if 1/4 of them do that, and they place their live order sitting there, that's liquidity. So it's important to understand that it's not necessary for you. If you put your signal on, I'll know. It's not important for you to know what I'm doing, where my stop loss is. I want you to know where the market's likely to go. And you're seeing that. You're also seeing instances where you don't get to be a part of the move. And you should be glad to know that I couldn't either. That's a result that is across the board the same. I didn't get some kind of secret entry technique. I didn't get on board with it. My private group didn't get on board with it. So, what's the realistic way of looking at what took place on Thursday and Friday? You missed the move. Your model didn't speak to a low risk entry, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, it's reasonable for you to be upset that that move wasn't participated in by you. It's unreasonable. That's toxic thinking. That's something that a losing trader will do their entire career. I have floor traders that actually were on the floor in Chicago. They're in my mentorship. And they literally understand more about the market now than they did when they were on the floor. And they had a hard time transitioning from being on the floor to electronic trading, like looking at a chart. To me, it's easier to see it. You can see to understand how the market would likely go for a specific targeted liquidity pool above or below the marketplace. If they know there's a lot of orders coming in for a specific price level, they can muscle that. They did it all the time. So it's, in my opinion, something that none of you should be wrestling with, because if these markets are algorithmic, and everybody should know that by now, you might not subscribe. You, how does the Pac-Man game, the maze runs through? How does he stay in that maze? Because it's limited